favor, tomen asiento. Va a iniciar el acto.
Please be seated. We are about to start.
Con todos ustedes, Santiago Abascal, presidente de Patriots.
Please welcome
presidente de Vox.
Santiago Abascal, the President of Patriots for Europe and President of Vox.
to make Spain great again. We need to have a new reconquista. Let's go!
Es un momento de reconquista. Tenemos que reconquistar una Europa que es nuestra y que nos pertenece.
And it's time to make Europe great again.
Spain is lucky to have Santiago that can organize a new Reconquista.
What you do in Spain and what we do in whole Europe, I recognize as a new Reconquista.
Make Europe great again.
We will fight. We will not back down, and we will win.
Amigos, somos el futuro. Pedro Sanchez, your time is over now. Spain was the first who made his nation great again.
Hemos ganado nosotros. Han perdido Pedro Sánchez y la ONG de izquierda. Bye bye Pedro, bye bye Open Arms, viva la libertad.
Espagnol, votre civilisation est au monde le meilleur de vous-même. Vive les nations, vive la vraie Europe, vive les patriotes pour l'Europe.
Es tiempo para llegar al gobierno. ¡Viva la Reconquista!
Vamos Santiago, vamos patriotas, vamos Vox.
No hay tiempo para el desaliento y no hay ningún tipo de excusa para la pasividad. Todo lo contrario, solo hay signos de esperanza por todas partes y solo tenemos un deber: no rendirnos jamás. Adelante, patriotas de Europa, sin miedo a nada ni a nadie. ¡Viva la Europa de las patrias y viva España!
Esta misma semana ha sido asesinado Charlie Kirk mientras debatía.
This week, Charlie Kirk was killed while he was debating in Utah, the US. He came from Chicago and he became one of the patriots who was most known for defending Christendom, their family, and their freedom. He was threatened in several occasions by the left-wing gangs who took property of the universities and applied censorship.
And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low-crime neighborhood.
You have to have respect for each other and love. When people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. People stop talking with each other because they lose their humanity. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith.
Next, let's bid farewell to Mr. Kirk as Spaniards bid farewell to those who have fallen. Let's rise, please.
Atención porque empezamos fuerte. Desde Estados Unidos
We
recibamos con un
start with a
enorme
bang.
aplauso a un
Let's
defensor
welcome
de la libertad y de la
an
soberanía de las
advocate of
naciones
freedom
y
and
presidente de
nation's
Heritage
sovereignty,
Foundation,
the president of the
Kevin
Heritage
Roberts.
Foundation, Kevin Roberts.
Patriots, good evening. I wanted to be in Madrid with you all tonight, but it would not have been appropriate for me to leave my country at a time like this. Charlie Kirk was my friend. He was only 31. He was America's best and brightest young leader. He was a devoted husband and a loving father to 2 beautiful children. His passion was working with young people and making the case for traditional American values like patriotism, respect for life, liberty, family, and personal responsibility. He believed that Americans should be able to debate, even when they disagree. The organization he so bravely founded and led was called Turning Point. I believe that this name is providential because Charlie Kirk's death must be a turning point, not just for America, but for the whole West. Today we face a choice. It is the same choice that David faced when he fought Goliath, that St. Peter faced on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, that Constantine faced at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, that those 500 men, led by Don Pelayo, faced in the holy cave of Covadonga, that King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella faced more than 700 years later in 1492 when they completed the Reconquista, that Christopher Columbus faced that same year in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when he sailed west, either to find land or to plunge over the world's roaring rim, that Donald Trump faced when he was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, and that Charlie faced every time he stepped foot on a college campus. The choice is this: to accept in all its forms and faithlessness civilizational collapse, to cower from our enemies, to retreat from the public square, to deny our God and surrender our inheritance, or to embrace, in all its uncertainty, the battle before us, to put out into the deep and place all our trust in God, to raise a fist in the air, to raise our voice to the mob as Charlie so often did, and insist that we won't be scared into silence. There are no other options. Friends, if we're going to follow in the footsteps of those brave men who came before us, then we must know why they chose to fight. And that is why it is so fitting that we are gathered today, a day many of us celebrate as the feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross. The cross is the most important symbol in our civilization. It is the supreme sign of God's love for every man and woman. It is the tree of life, blossoming in hope, offering courage in the midst of hardship. It is a reminder that some things are worth dying for, because death is not the end. Charlie made reference to the cross all the time. His faith in the cross is why he was so hopeful for the future. Our enemies want to rob us of that hope. They want us to accept that what is warped and twisted and depraved is somehow good and righteous and beautiful. They celebrate death and they hate life. They want us to believe that there's nothing we can do. They think these threats of violence will make us give up. In France, it's the cordon sanitaire and arresting their political opponents. In the United Kingdom, it's arresting grandmothers for praying outside of abortion clinics and looking the other way while immigrant gangs assault young women. In Spain, it is the shameless attempt to tear down the largest cross in the world. And in America, it is the countless people online celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and calling for more assassinations. It is also the despicable journalists trying to turn this into an issue of both sides, when the truth is that the bullets are all flying from the same direction. Today, we need to realize that these people, no matter where they are all the same. They are opponents of order, emissaries of violence, but most of all, they are enemies of the true cross. And we need to be clear. Their escalation in violence is not because their influence is increasing or because their power is growing. Quite the opposite. It is because they see good people waking up. They see young men in every single one of our countries choosing to reject their lies and live in the truth. Charlie Kirk is the reason that is happening. Now, the fate of our children, the future of our countries, the destiny of our entire civilization hinges on whether we will carry on his legacy, whether we will devote ourselves to finishing the indispensable work to which Charlie bravely devoted his life and gave his last measure of devotion. So, I say again, the West is at a turning point. The good news is that patriots in every country of Europe, every country of Latin America, and in the United States are prepared to seize this moment. But our work must accelerate and expand now. Let us move forward with the courage, the conviction, and the cheerfulness that our fallen brother Charlie Kirk personified. And remember, we will never surrender.
Ahora pasamos por la tierra que vio nacer a la civilización.
Next, let's move to the land that saw the birth of civilization. From Greece, we have a voice of reason. Let's welcome Aphrodite Latinopoulou.
Buenos días de nuevo, patriotas.
Good morning again, dear patriots.
It is a great honor to be once again in your company. And it is a double joy to fight alongside Santiago Abascal. A man who never bent, who speaks the language of truth at the very moment when sunset is drowning in lies and is counting down to his exit. Santiago Abascal is the future, the voice of Spain that does not surrender, the symbol of a people who know that without homeland, without identity, without faith, there cannot be a future. But today we are not alone. With us, and I'm sure smiling, is Charlie Kirk, who is watching us from heaven. And we are here today to continue his legacy. They think that because they assassinated him, they effaced him. So foolish they are, because they did the exact opposite. Each one of us inside this hall and millions outside is now Charlie Kirk. legacy he leaves us is immense. Like a modern-day martyr, he sacrificed for his belief and his faith. He knew he was walking towards death. He knew very well that just a year before, they had twice come within a hair of murdering President Trump. Would he escape? He did not care, not at all. He paid no attention to their threats. Why? Because he wanted to bequeath a different, free world filled with love and Christ to his children. A world where white Christians would not be persecuted, would not be murdered, would not be robbed, not be raped and abused by fanatical Islamists and criminal lunatics. He had the courage to enter their nests into the universities where the woke agenda has a feast and crush them daily through the most powerful weapon, face-to-face dialogue. Straight to their faces. Straight to their faces, he crushed every paranoid theory of theirs. From the 56 genders, the inconceivable gender transitions of minors, the unacceptable quotas in workplaces, he showed how criminality comes from specific groups. And of course, he said that illegal immigration was a crime that had to be stopped at all costs. He was a preacher of God and love. The left could not silence him, so they assassinated him, just as they threaten every patriot leader. Because when their arguments don't do the trick, bullets speak. And this death showed what we all knew, but few of us have the courage to say, that the systemic media of the entire planet, with the money of oligarchs of the New World Order agenda, have baptized as far-right every person who believes in homeland, in religion, in family. And at the very hour when his children were mourning, sick minds were celebrating. It was a day of joy for leftists and the disturbed minds of the entire planet. And unfortunately, and I'm ashamed to say it, even in the European Parliament, the leadership of the Eurochamber proved inferior to the circumstance. They denied us even a 1-minute silence, the same that, of course, as genuine leftists, they had granted for the death of George Floyd, because Black Lives Matter, as is well known, but not the lives of whites. Enough is enough! And today, Charlie Kirk is not here, but his legacy continues through us. We have a sacred duty to fight the modern left, this mental disease that poisons our children and arms the hands of madmen. Today, tomorrow, and forever, we will all be Charlie Kirk! And for this reason, September 10th must be designated as Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day in the European Union as well. September 10. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe is committing suicide. Merkel and her like-minded puppets put ghettos, and our women are not safe. Our children grow up in fear. This is not the Europe of our ancestors. It is a continent surrendering to Islamists who hate what is most sacred to our hearts. They hate what we love. And if we do not act now, tomorrow there will be no Spain, there will be no Greece, there will be no Europe. They will impose burqas and mosques on our children. And I ask you, and I'm asking you, is this what we want? Is this what we want? Enough is enough. Arrests and mass deportations, closed borders, no asylum permits, closure of mosques, ban of the burqa, Islam out of the Christian Europe. Of our children. Explicit ban of woke propaganda in schools. We want our country strong, with our flags waving, with our citizens safe and proud. We want to live exactly as our parents brought us into this world. Free, proud, white Christians who love for every fellow human being, provided he accepts our values: homeland, religion, family. And for all the others who do not like what Europe stands for, only one sentence: if you don't like it, we don't care. Nobody invited you, and we do not want you here. Back to your countries yesterday. Eternal be your memory, Charlie Kirk. We give you our word that your work will become the purpose of our lives. Dad a Santiago la fuerza para tomar en sus manos a España.
Give us strength, Santiago, so that we can take ownership of Spain. Long live Spain, long live Abascal.
Desde Chile, un guerrero de la verdad, firme
From Chile,
y valiente,
a warrior
forja
of
la
truth,
alternativa
firm
patriótica con
and
amor
brave.
por su tierra.
And he's
Con un
basically
aplauso atronador recibamos
in
el
love with his
mensaje de
homeland.
José Antonio Cast.
Let's receive José Antonio Cast's message.
Queridos amigos de Europa,
Dear friends from Europe, Viva 25. Please be warm welcome from Chile, and with all my love for the inspiration and the support that you have always given us in this large cause for freedom. I'd like to welcome especially to my friend Santiago Abascal, a brave leader that has shown to the world that it's possible to face the left with conviction, with no fear, defending the identity, the safety and the future of our nations. Today, Chile faces a turning point. Our people must choose between being trapped in the stagnation, insecurity and destruction that is taking us towards communism, or open ourselves to a new time for freedom, development and hope. This dilemma is being lived all around the world and in Latin America, where millions of families are suffering by organized crime, poverty, and lack of opportunity. But also, we can smell a smell of change in every corner of our region. There are men and women that raise their voices to say enough for mediocrity and resignation. Chile, Spain, Argentina, and many more countries share the conviction that a different future is possible. I'm pretty convinced that together in Europe and in America, we're going to show that freedom can overcome fear, development can stagnation, and hope can win over hopelessness. With truth and determination, we hope that next year we can meet in person, and not only as friends, but also as President of Chile, representing a country that has stood up and that is believing again in themselves. Long live Chile, long live Spain. Thank you very much. From Colombia, somebody that fought against terrorism. Let's welcome Álvaro Uribe. Don Santiago and dear attendees, from this South America, there is good news as well as promising wins. Argentina's great recovery is underway. The Bolivian people have held the new communist destruction accountable and intend to elect a democratic government. Ecuador is in steady hands. The possibility that Venezuela's narco-terrorist dictatorship may finally be expelled from power and accept the verdict of democracy is promising. In Colombia, we're fighting to defeat next year this emerging neo-communism, which through weapons and the judiciary has been undermining freedoms and replacing private enterprise with drug trafficking consumption. This narco-communism, which has increased the state payroll by 50% and eroded democratic values, can only rely on remittances. We are in the midst of a struggle. Warm regards. From Venezuela, leader of resistance against tyranny, her fight against for freedom is a beacon for millions. Let's welcome María Corina Machado. Dear Presidents, dear Santiago Abascal, leader of Vox and organizer of Viva Europa, dear friends of freedom and distinguished guests, from Venezuela, I want to extend my warmest greetings to each and every one of you, our great friends of Vox, the patriots of Europe, and so many clear-minded and courageous people who have never hesitated to defend the cause of freedom and democracy in my country. For all of this, the Venezuelans are deeply grateful. The horrors Venezuela has endured over the past 2 decades, horrors you know well, are not disconnected from what is happening in the rest of the world. These tragedies are part of the broader unrest that seems to be shaking Western civilization today. There are various reasons for this, but the first and most important should be obvious, even if it is not always recognized. Venezuela and Latin America are essential part of the West, with all the particular traits that define us. We, the Ibero-American Europeans, are the direct heirs of Greek philosophy, Roman law, and the Judeo-Christian faith. These 3 great traditions are not imposed elements, nor are they foreign to our culture or way of life. On the contrary, together with the European languages, they are constitutive and irreplaceable components of our cultural identity. That is why Ibero-America can only find its rightful place in the world within this great common civilization that spans both sides of the Atlantic. Yet, everything suggests that these 3 great pillars of our shared civilization are now in crisis across the West. A crisis brought on by the absurd, suicidal, and treacherous attempt to transform us into something we are not. An attempt to turn Western citizens into something new, something we are not, cannot be, and must not become. For the simple reason that it goes against our very nature. Because of this folly, the West has been suffering from a growing identity crisis for years. Crisis in which many within our societies have turned their backs on the core values that make us who we are, and alone can give meaning to our future. That is why we should not be surprised that by what happened in Venezuela, that this terrible evil emerged, which the world now seems to finally recognize in all its depth and perversity. I am speaking of the danger that politics can open the door to crime, until ultimately crime divorces politics itself. In Venezuela, what began as a socialist revolution inevitably led to its true consequence, a criminal conspiracy, one that displays its hatred for Western values through the systematic use of lies, and whose actions are marked by the criminal, terrorist, and anti-democratic nature. But today, I bring you good news. Today, I can say with the utmost confidence, certainty and pride, that the Venezuelan people have recognized the true nature of this evil and have become immune to its influence. That is why we are more united than ever before. We have rallied around the defense of truth and of the values we share across the West. That is why we overwhelmingly defeated Nicolás Maduro's tyranny at the ballot box. That is why we overcame all the streaks and atrocities. And that is why, in the face of the most brutal and ruthless repression, we chose to resist and to organize ourselves in order to defeat the regime on this battlefield as well. Maduro commits state terrorism and crimes against humanity, and at last the world has acknowledged it. Let us not forget that this regime used Venezuela's vast resources to build a network of corruption and transnational complexity involving individuals across the globe, especially in Europe. Today, the net is finally closing in on this tyranny, which bears full responsibility for its crimes and for dragging us to the point of no return. And now, with Maduro's downfall, the whole truth is coming to light. His accomplices will also be exposed and justice will be done. And this is why today, I can assure you, we, citizens of Venezuela, together with our allies in the West, are winning this battle once and for all. There is no longer any room for naivety or neutrality. You cannot stand halfway between justice and crime, between democracy and tyranny, between good and evil. I tell you now, we will prevail in this existential and spiritual struggle. That decision was made the day we organized ourselves to confront and defeat the machinery of electoral fraud and crime that is Chavismo. That was the day when the reconquest of our country, our democracy, and our freedom began. So, long live Europe, long live Spain, and long live a free Venezuela, until the very end.
Desde Perú ha venido a vernos la peor pesadilla de los corruptos y un férreo defensor de la vida. Con todos nosotros el alcalde de Lima, Rafael López
the mayor of Lima, Rafael López Aliaga.
Hola Europa.
Hello Europe.
Hola España.
Hello Spain.
Hola patriotas.
Hello dear patriots.
Hasta el cielo. Hola Charlie Kirk.
On the heavens. Hello Charlie Kirk.
Voy a empezar
I'll start with something that in Peru I am doing this task every day, everywhere. Well, my nickname is Forky. Thank you, my sister. I'm proud of it. Forky, love. This is love. It's not hate, it's not death. It stands for life. And I was thinking, by starting this speech without fear, long live God! Long live God! Long live Christ! Without any fear. Long live life! Long live the family! Long live freedom! Long live entrepreneurship! Long live ownership! Long live small states! You know what? My task as a politician got totally unexpected, and mayor, and I'm very proud of it, takes me to discuss with lots of small and medium-sized groups. In my country, unfortunately, for decades, we've been listening to this atheist speech. And from a left point of view, to make it simple, stands for bad, mal in Spanish. M-A-L, or in English, B-A-D, evil. How can I explain to many of my compatriots, and even just in Lima, a city of 13 million of brothers and sisters in Christ, sons of the same God. And this, I'm saying here, I'm telling this to a red communist, killer, liar. It sounds like sulfur. That's their traditional smell, sulfur. So they don't really like it that a party or a movement, a completely opposite line of thought, without any fear to state we are sons of God, which is the basis of human dignity. This stands at the basis, at the core of the human dignity. That's all. If there was not a single God, how could we respect each other? Why would we love each other? Why would we have to give our lives like Charlie Kirk? He's a martyr. And we're going to pay homage in Lima to Charlie Kirk, because it's from Charlie Kirk, basically like Roman martyrs will have from the blood of the Roman martyrs. A legion of lions was born all over Europe that traveled to America, and thank you very much. But they don't know what they did, because the guy that was patient, that could speak to everyone, to stand against so many useless rats. They have chosen to the most patient human being. I'm not so patient, to be honest. In Peru, I'm somehow patient. But I'm starting to get tired. But they are fanatics. You cannot keep talking to them. But Charlie Kirk argued with everyone, and he would stand to any crazy arguments, and he gave him back love without losing patience. And what they did, they don't even know what they did to these evil left liars, killers, burglars. It's outrageous. They have created, just as at the beginning of Christianity in Europe, they have created this legion of people that will go to martyrdom without fear. In South America, we'll have the same situation. It's happened before. Two remarkable human beings have been killed. One of them, Uribe. Give it a big sort of hand to Uribe. Pay homage to him. He was going to be president of Colombia. And Petro's terrorist, and that's what I call him, terrorist, he left Uribe without any security, with any guards. And they just killed him openly. Same in Ecuador. The one that was going to be the next president of Ecuador, he was shot in the head, in the neck. They're just killers. I don't have to show that these, being killers, killers is being shown. It's clear. But I'm in Peru, and I think that same thing happens here in Spain or in Europe. The lies at the core of their philosophy. They hate the truth. They don't tell the truth to people. And what happened in Peru is that they contaminate the whole state. In Latin America or in Peru, we call them the progressivists. But these people that they just don't want to work. They are completely lazy and useless people, and that is the left. Lazy. The left. And I think it's just the same here in Europe or in Spain. They take over a ministry or city hall, any authority, and they look at the money, at the budget, and they fill it with expenditure, basically paying themselves and their inner circles, credit cards. Basically, they take all the money, they rob everything. There's no infrastructure whatsoever. Just as a way of example, in Lima, what I found was the city hall with a deficit of 400 negative, and I will now give more examples. Bankruptcy, no investment whatsoever. 9 months later, as a private businessman, so those that are lazy, they're sent home. Over 50% of the staff, they were sent home. 0% consultancies. The mayor had 92 consultants. That's humanly impossible. 22 advisors. Can you imagine? You cannot have even more. 5. You know, I have only 2 advisors. 2 advisors. The mayor of Lima. 90. They just sent backpacking. Then the press. These progressivist, leftish press. Media, and they told me, well, there is this contract that have been signed, 100 million soles of a year. It's like 30 million euros a year. And I said, well, that's crazy, just for the image, corporate image of a mayor. And I said, well, my image, I don't really care, and I will not repeat the words. They know exactly what words I used. I don't care. And I left it like that. I have to work on my image. I don't buy my image. I don't buy any surveys or any headlines. I don't buy any editorials. I don't buy any of this crap. What did they reply to me? Okay, let's go down from 100 to 50. No, 30. No, 20. Oh, they were dragging now themselves. As good progressivists, just, you know, kind of dragging themselves because they just want the money, the budget from the state. They are just in love for the budget. They budget eaters. You know, when they see a budget, they just go after it. And I said, no, do you know, it's going to be 0. Just leave my office. I don't have any time for you. And then they started to say that I was the corruption, the Brazilian from Lula da Silva, from this Sao Paulo evil forum that took us to the disaster in Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado. Thank you very much, Nicaragua. When they jailed someone because of their religion grounds in Nicaragua, there is a fascist dictator that she takes people to jail for whatever reasons, whatever they believe, for what they love. Cuba, oh my God, Cuba, an outrageous dictatorship, of course. But before I was a mayor, and I'm a businessman, and I'm a university lecturer, so I deal with youngsters quite a lot. And in Latin America, youngsters, and I think it's the same in Europe, they basically read in social media the truth, because social media is a very powerful tool. They don't believe the left anymore, at least in Latin America. In Latin America, they said that basically what moves history is hate. And that's been instilled in the minds of our youngsters. The source of history is hate, and that's completely false. Well, I was doing a pilgrimage, so to speak, on the hills of Lima. I used a parable, and especially with ladies that don't have, moms that don't have any education, they don't have water, no resources, and we're talking about 1.5 million around Lima because of this left, because they took away the infrastructure of the people, and I think that's applicable all around the world. They take it away so they can live with millionaires. They steal that so they can eat caviar. That's why we call them caviar leftists in Peru. So I call this mummies, you're a humble person. So you wake up and then you feed your baby, your child, because you hate him. That's the maternal instinct. No, because you love him. Of course, you take your baby to your child to school because you hate him. Isn't that right? And that's what all the left told you. No, I take my child because of love. So when your child graduates from university or from a technical school, you hate them even more. You envy them. No, they reply, no, I love it even more because they are my children. Is it the same with your neighbors and the district and all over the province? You see all this love history basically repeating, and that's exactly the message that I want to transmit. So history is the addition of all these little stories all over the place. So I tell her, the left told you for so long, what is the source of history? Originating the movement, basically making you rise up every morning to feed your children. Well, and they reply, love. Why? I ask. Well, because of Christian love. That is the source. But we have to return precisely to that. We have to reconquest not only Europe, also Latin America. Gentlemen, we have to stand together. And I'll tell you something else. Even though if we lose our lives on the way, millions of human beings are at stake. Also the freedom of many of our brothers in Christ. Fearlessly, because a communist, a leftist, would not even work around this logic. They just want to commandeer a budget and take it away, not being intolerant with everyone. That's what a left-ish person is. And we see that in Europe, in Latin America, in Peru, in Lima, everywhere. These people. Enough. But why are they winning? Because they are using this huge propaganda apparatus. A lot of money, and I will conclude. I think Santiago is getting a little nervous. I'm sorry, Santiago, I'm abusing my time here. So there are three clear enemies in front of us in Latin America. First, this green, outrageous movement, green tide, the pro-abortion people destroying the family, that mob in Lima, we've managed to kick them out from any possibility of being at the administration, destroying everything, taking away all these medical licenses in clinics. So these are pro-death clinics. This is a very powerful tide. So a lot of pro-death money is at stake. Then there's another tide, very strong as well. It's a black tide. Corruption. Unfortunately, we have forestry, mining, all illegal, human trafficking of children. All this black tide of corruption, unfortunately, the Sao Paulo Forum is actually taking it back to us. And unfortunately, again, Mr. Maduro is exporting to the worst of the worst. There are great people in Venezuela, but 99% of people that have arrived in Peru, great brothers, lovely people. But there's 1% of arrivals, people that were taken out of the prisons of Venezuela, taken to Peru with the complicity of 3 Peruvian presidents that are jailed right now, corrupt criminals. I love Venezuela. I want Venezuela free. So I'm asking you to stand together so Venezuela breaks its shackles. But Maduro is not going to leave. Another Cuba, if we leave him alone. He's just not going to leave. I'll leave it here. But let's get together. There's a green tide against life, and it looks like green. You know, they have their green handkerchiefs, and it doesn't work. Their discourse in Peru is 95% of population in Peru is Christian, and they protect the life. It's a stronghold for life, Peru. The black tide, well, that's corruption, internal and external corruption. And unfortunately, that corruption is buying the press in Peru. They're paying the press to defend them, so the press will stay silent of external and internal corruption. And again, another one present in the policy, that red, outrageous tide from dictatorships from Bolivia, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua. I'm sorry about what's happening now in Bolivia. Bolivia reacted. The people of Bolivia had enough. They voted for 2 candidates that had a completely different model. Anyone winning will make sure that Bolivia has a completely different path. A small state of entrepreneurship, leaving the people to make business. State is a bad business manager. Ruling for everything just doesn't work. So let's give freedom to the people to make businesses. So these 3 tides are present in Europe as well, and all over Latin America. So this is a kind of a highly complex system, interlinked with the press as well, and we have to defeat them. And youngsters in Peru and in Spain and in Europe are our best allies. Those voting for Porky, my party, I will not state the name. Yes, very funny, starting my life as Porky. And I'm smiling to myself about this. Also, and I will conclude. Are you all nervous here? First row? Okay, just a quick joke. I've been working for 45 years for international banking, mining director, and many other international banks. But when I joined in politics, something happened that made me laugh. A 7, 19-year-old child that doesn't know my name, not interested in my name either, looks at me. I'm working to give him water or food or educate him so they can be suppliers of the state, so make them rooted to their own country. That child comes up to me and goes like, "Hey, hello, Porky," just like that. He doesn't go like, "Mr. something," no. He just goes like, "Hi, Porky." When he's 14 years old, he will go like, "Hello, Mr. Porky." And when he's 17, he will go, "Mr. Porky." But I'm filled with pride. So I had enough money in my life. I've done everything that I wanted to in business, but I want to give my life for these children, for these mummies, so misled with this hate sort of speech. And I will conclude just as I started. Long live God. Long live Christ. Long live the family. Long live freedom. Long live entrepreneurship. Long live the rivers of love. Long live patriots. Long live Europe. Thank you.
Desde Austria, el vencedor de las
From
elecciones
Austria, the winner of the elections and incoming First Minister, crashing down the globalist consensus, sends us this message from the FPO. We have Mr. Herbert Kicker.
Liebe Freunde, ein herzliches Grüß Gott aus
Dear
Österreich.
friends, a warm greeting from Austria. I would like to greet all those attending this great gathering of patriots, Europa Viva 25 in Madrid. It is a gathering of the brave, the determined, and the resolute. When patriots from all over Europe gather today, it is about something more than just a political event. It is a very powerful and a very necessary signal. The patriotic reconquest begins now. All of us, whether in Spain, France, or Austria, experience the same thing. Our homelands are systematically stripped of their sovereignty. Our borders are open like a barred door. Our values are relativized, and our freedom is restricted, and our identity is ridiculed. And for what reason? Because of a failed globalist experiment from Brussels. Because of a European Union that would rather look over the interest of gender quotas than the safety of the citizens, and because of an EU that cares more about NGO traffickers than European families. That must end. We do not need a Europe of tutelage, of rootlessness and cultural decline. We need a Europe of homelands, a Europe of the free, of the sovereign, of the proud people. And it is precisely for this that we are here, patriots, to regain control over migration, so that it will no longer be Brussels, but our own parliaments, our own people who will decide who enters our country, and above all, who must leave it. To reclaim sovereignty, because we do not want to be vassals controlled from the outside, but conscious citizens of free states, and to reclaim our freedom against surveillance, against censorship, against the terror of political and media opinion. Yes, the reconquest begins, and it begins with us. with our movements, with our parties, but above all, with our unbreakable faith in what defines us all, our history, our culture, our language, our traditions. That is our European soul. And we defend that soul with all our political strength and with the broad support of more and more citizens across Europe. That is why I am convinced that by standing united as free patriots in a free Europe, we can make a change of course. And thus, the sad Brussels bureaucracy of the EU will give way to a Europe of love for our homeland, dignity and self-determination. And for all this, I wish you all a fruitful Europa Viva 2025. Let us send a clear signal from Madrid. We are here and we will not give up. Quite the opposite. We are going to take back Europe. Long live the reconquest. Long live the Europe of the patriots. So now, let's give the floor to a true fighter, a leader that leaves no one indifferent, who stands for homeland and sovereignty of the nations. Let's listen to the message of Andrej Babiš from Czechia, from the party Anno 2011.
It is with great honor that I send you my greetings to Europa Viva 25. Although I cannot be with you in Madrid, my heart and my conviction are with you. Sorry for my dress, but I'm in full campaign. Every day I'm meeting people to convince them to vote for our movement. Today we face a battle that goes beyond party lines and borders. It is the battle for the soul of Europe, for our families, our freedoms, and our future. The so-called progressives tell us there is no alternative to decline, no path, but submission to bureaucracy, control, and fear. But we know better. We stand here, patriots of Europe, to declare that the reconquest begins. The reconquest of our sovereignty, the reconquest of our traditions, the reconquest of our right to decide how we live, raise our children, and build prosperity in our nations. Europe does not need more weakness and excuses. Europe needs courage. Europe needs leaders who dare to say what millions think, that socialism has failed, that centralization has failed, and that only free, proud nations can make our continent strong again. Let us unite in hope, not resignation. Let us stand together as a family of patriots, and let us prove that our voice is stronger than their lies. From Ostrava, I salute you and I promise you, we will not give up, we will not surrender, and we will not stop until Europe belongs again to its people. Thank you. Viva España. Viva Europa.
Y ahora, desde Flandes, un líder carismático que enciende el
And
alma
now,
con una
from
nueva
Flanders,
generación de
in
patriotas.
Belgium, a charismatic leader with a new generation of patriots. Let's please welcome Tom van Griek from Flam Belang.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, before I can start my speech, I have to check something. In my country, in Flanders, my party, Vlaams Belang,
says to foreigners who don't assimilate, you adapt or you leave. Does Fox also say that in Spain to foreigners, adaptate o vete, right? Vedat or no? Well, today I'm a foreigner in your beautiful country, but do not worry, I will leave in just a few hours and I go back to my own country. But nevertheless, I feel obliged to address you a few words in Spanish. Gracias por el cálida invitación en este
Thank you for this warm welcome to this beautiful country.
Viva
Long live
Vox.
Abascal. Long live Vox.
You see, I'm already better integrated than most of the Muslim immigrants. I want to thank you, Mr. Abascal, for hosting the Patriots here in your country, for leading our European party in these important times. It's a great honor to stand here beside you. And yes, my friends, it is indeed a true honor to stand here in Madrid, in the heart of Spain, at this Europa Viva gathering of true patriots, like-minded people, real political friends. And when I see you, friends, I see true determination that no one can put out, because it's that kind that comes from deep inside, from loving your home and your family and your people. So let me start by saying something very simple, something we all know in our hearts, but that only left-wing politicians and globalists ignore. So let me say it clear and let me say it oft. Spain belongs to the Spanish, not to the corrupt political elites. Spain belongs to the Spanish, not to the left-wing media. Spain belongs to the Spanish, not to the multinational cartels. Spain belongs to the Spanish, not to the faceless bureaucrats in Brussels. Spain belongs to you. Spain is your country, and Spain will always be your country. But my friends, what is very clear to us is apparently not so clear for our political opponents. Indeed, even the very basic truths are under attack now. An attack driven by people who want to tell you how to feel, who want to tell you how to think, who want to tell you how to live. Piece by piece, day by day, they try to take away our freedoms, our culture, our pride. And sometimes my friends, things change so slowly you don't even notice the small changes day after day. But when you look back, you see everything is different. And today, when we look around in our cities, our neighborhoods, our schools, we know everything is different. We see classrooms where our own children are strangers. We see mass immigration that changes the faces of our homelands, and see politicians who are more loyal to Brussels than their own people. For years, the left-wing elite told us we just imagine it. They told us that borders don't matter, that culture doesn't matter, that our families do not matter, and that our nations don't matter. They attacked our free and sovereign societies, not with armies or tanks, not with bullets like they did with Charlie Kirk, but with harmful ideas and ideologies. Ideas that corrupt, erode, and dismantle everything we hold dear. And this attack, dear friends, comes from within. It comes from globalism that dissolves borders, that keeps us safe. From a left-wing elite that seeks to cancel dissidents and rewrite history, and from a radical progressivism that denies biologically even and tradition. Nowadays, if simply stating a man is a man and a woman is a woman is considered as extreme, let me be an extremist. Let us say it clearly. A mother is a woman, a father is a man. They can call us extremists every day, but those facts will never, ever change. The question that we have to answer is how do we fight that idea? Not with weapons or censorship, not with silence or submission. We fight an idea with a better idea. We counter the darkness of their destructive ideologies with the light of truth, tradition, and belonging. We reject the rootlessness of their globalism and we embrace the rootedness of our nationalism. We answer the chaos of their woke madness with the order and the clarity of conservatism and Christianity. Because our people, our politics is not about exclusion, it is about pure love. Love for our country, love for our people, love for our culture, and love for our own future. Dear friends, history will remember those who stood up, but not just against something, but those who stood up for something greater. And that is why, despite these attacks, I stand here today full of hope. As a man, as a father of 3 children, as a European, and above all, as somebody who loves his country and his people. And as I stand here, I say to every parent, to every child and every patriot here present, we will fight for you, we will fight for your children, we will fight for your country, we will fight for your future, and I promise you, we will win! And if the globalists, the leftists and the media is listening today, listen well. Listen well, leftist and media people. The Spanish people are here to reclaim what is theirs. The European people are here to reclaim what is theirs. The tide has turned. We did not give in to despair. We fought for it. We did not surrender. We stood tall. We did not hide. We spoke with pride. This is our land. This is our identity. And this is our future. If I interrupt you a bit with applauding, it is because I have to stick on my time, so I try to make it as it is. From Spain to Flanders, from Italy to France, from Hungary and beyond, people everywhere are waking up and realizing there is a better future. A future where Europe's people will not be replaced, where our nations will not be erased, and where our tradition, our families, and our freedoms will not be taken away. And in Spain too, Santiago Abascal and the proud people of Vox fight for these heroic ideals. So, dear patriots, when I ask you, who rises up against mass immigration, you know there is only one answer: Abascal and Vox. When I say, who stands for secure borders and safe streets, you answer Abascal and Vox. Who gives voice to for the working people? You answer Abascal and Vox. Who defends Spanish farmers against globalists and green madness? Your response, Abascal and Vox. Who rejects the dictatorship of Brussels bureaucrats? You shout, Abascal. Who says loud and clear that Europe should remain Christian, free and proud? Your response is? And who will lead our democratically reconquista? It will be? Perfect! Dear friends, together with Vox, together with Fidesz in Hungary, together with the Rassemblement National in France, together with the PVV in the Netherlands and all other parties across Europe, we will be the ones in charge tomorrow. So, my dear Spanish brothers and sisters, when they say it cannot be done, we will answer, it will be done. And those who believe they can stop us, hear me clearly. You can smear us, you can try to silence us, you can ban us from your television shows, you can surround us with police and your censorship, but you cannot stop an idea whose time it has come, and the time of the patriots of Europe has come, the time of proud people of Europe has come, the time of Spain has come. Viva patriots, viva Vox, and viva Vlaams Belang. I thank you.
Desde Italia, la primera ministra que alza la
From
bandera
Italy,
de la identidad
Prime Minister,
europea con una
waving the
fuerza
flag
paz.
of European unity.
Con un estallido de pasión recibamos el
With the
mensaje de
outburst
Giorgia
of
Meloni.
passion, let's welcome the message of Giorgia Meloni.
Buenos días a todos, querido Santiago.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Santiago, dear Vox friends, congratulations on this new edition of Europa Viva, a manifestation of passion for politics, where we meet brave people, people who are proud of the history, willing to build a better future. And talking about history and of a better future, let me pay homage to Charlie Kirk, a young man, a brave father, who paid with his life the price of his freedom. His sacrifice is a stark reminder of the side where the violence and bigotry are in. I want to say very clearly to all those haters, to the extremists that we see out in the streets, and to those false masters with a jacket and a tie who hide in grand salons, we will not fall into your trap. We will not play your game. Of those willing to drag our nations into a spiral of violence. But also, let me tell them that they will not intimidate us. We will keep on pushing. We will keep on fighting for the freedom of our people and also for the future of Europe that needs brave decisions to deal with the huge challenges that we face ahead. The recent picture of Beijing shows the determination of great international actors willing to redesign international order by using economic power, as China does, or aggression, as Russia does. Despite the important initiative of President Trump, Putin is not interested in peace. We need to keep bringing Kiev all the aid that is necessary for a long-lasting peace, with also peace warranties for Ukraine and Europe, so that we achieve the result that we are seeking. And we rise to the challenge that we face. That is the unity of Europe. That is of the utmost importance. The world needs the West. And let me say hi to all the patriots fighting for freedom in Latin America. And the West needs Europe, a Europe that is able to take on their responsibilities also when it comes to defense, so that it becomes an influential actor in other crisis areas. I'm thinking of Gaza and the need to be there. So there's a ceasefire and there's a liberation of the hostages, which are still in the hands of Hamas, and that we can build a future of peace, recognizing the right of Palestinians to having their own state, and to Israel to live in safety without the threat of terrorism. And to be leaders globally, Europe needs to invest again in the competitiveness of their companies, which are suffocated by red tape and the ideology that is green and is very dependent on China. We need to reactivate the Europe of the ideology, and we need to tackle illegal migration. We've shown that we can do this with clear ideas, and we've reduced 60% in Italy the number of illegal migrants thanks to third country agreements with stricter norms regarding to human traffickers and to the rise in the number of deportations. And we've presented this in Europe. And this is an idea that starts to be shared by many countries, regardless of the left, that places obstacles. In Europe, we've shown that the right can win elections, but also rule with great efficiency. I am proud to chair what is about to become the third government, one of the most long-lasting governments in Italy. And we have 3 different groups in Europe, and we've reached a record of employment. We've reduced inflation. We've reached a record of exports. We've increased the reliability of our bonds, and also we had tax reforms. We supported the families, and we've increased the importance of Italy globally. From day one, the Italian government that I chair has fought for a Europe that doesn't want to decide about everything, that is pragmatic, idealistic, so that it can stand for our producers and our citizens, so that we can build this Europe. We need an ever-increasing number of governments where conservatives and all the alternative powers to the left are there, so that we offer the citizens a clear option. This is not about, it is not time for having anti-natural agreements. It is the time of working together. I am sure that along this path we will meet and we will work hand in hand. Thank you, friends, for your love. Thank you, Santiago, for your friendship. Long live Spain, long live Italy, long live the Europe of peoples and freedom.
From Hungary, we have a special message from someone who is defying globalism with a Titan's sort of force. Let's listen to the First Minister from Fidesz, Viktor Orbán.
Kedves barátaim, spanyol patrióták, a magyar patrióták köszöntik a Viva 25 résztvevőt.
It is an honor for me to speak once again to the Spanish patriots. Alarm bells are already ringing at the imperial headquarters in Brussels, because we patriots are growing in number. We are more organized. We are becoming even more powerful. We have achieved great success so far. But, my dear friends, the greater part of the work still lies ahead. Let us make no mistake, the globalists in Brussels are speaking even more loudly and are using even tougher measures to tell us how to live, how to raise our children, and whom to allow into our countries. They do not hesitate to risk war and to saddle our nations with debt. Our task is to prevent this madness from Brussels. We cannot do it separately, but together, and only together we will succeed. That is why international cooperation is the most important task today for us, the patriotic forces. We need all European patriots, whether Spanish, Hungarian, French, German or Italian. We will put up a barrier against illegal migration. We will protect our children, our sovereignty, our way of life, and we will restore peace and security to Europe. Hoist the flags. Prepare to win. Long live Vox. Long live Santiago. Long live Spain.
Saludemos con cariño ahora a nuestros
Let's
más
welcome
queridos
now
vecinos.
very warmly to our
Presentamos
dear
a un guerrero en estado puro que
neighbors.
desafía al
Let's
establishment
introduce
con un
a
grito
true
fuerte.
warrior
Portugal
defying the
primero.
establishment with a clear
Alzad vuestras
shout.
voces por el líder de
Portugal
Che,
first.
André
Let's raise our
Ventura.
voices for the leader of Chega, André Ventura.
Thank you. Força Portugal. Gracias, compañeros.
Força
Muy
Portugal.
buenas tardes a todos.
Dear friends, dear colleagues, good afternoon. There is a truth, and I'll try to speak in Spanish. There's a certainty somehow that we have in this event. Whatever questions and doubts that we might have at present, there is something that is certain. We must bring socialism down, socialism in Spain, in Portugal, and all over Europe. And Santiago didn't ask me to say this. We must bring down socialism in Portugal, in Spain, and we have to put Pedro Sanchez in jail. That's what we have to do it. To jail. To jail, because what they have just done in Europe, but especially here in Spain and also in Portugal, my friends, it's not just a political group that has taken over power or control of government. No, what is happening in Spain, it's a mafia within the government, and we must send them to jail. All we see, all we know, all we hear. If I was a prime minister in Spain, and that's never going to happen, my first measure would be send Sanchez to prison, for sure. Let me tell you about the threat that falls upon us. That's why events such as these are so important, that we are free to speak our minds. Charlie Kirk died because he spoke his mind. He died to defend us. He died for us, for our values, and for our identity. Charlie Kirk died because we transform our world where arguing is no in place. Persecution and death are rampant. Killing live on TV, on the screens of our mobile phones, has shown how people can turn when they defend what the ideals of the left. In Barcelona, in Murcia, you know what fighting for freedom and our values means. So paying homage to Charlie Kirk, we must say, don't make us afraid. We are not afraid. We're not going to stop. We're not going to bring our hands down. We're not scared. We will stand for our values. Whatever we believe in, we're not going to sponsor fleets for Gaza, just shipping, sailing around while they do large parties in Ibiza, Menorca, and the Spanish islands. We will not do that. We will continue together fighting for what we believe in. A Europe with less immigration, knowing that we have Spanish, Portuguese, and European press. What they did in Murcia makes me proud as a European. I am extremely proud. Thank you for what they did. Santiago, thank you, and thank you for what they did. They're huge, they're big, they're strong. Long live Portugal, long live Spain, long live as Europe of values, long live values, and long live Santiago Abascal. Okay, now we have the Argentinian lion.
The one fighting the left, and we know who we are talking about, the president of the Argentinian Republic, Javier Milei.
Hola a todos.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for welcoming me, even though this time is remotely. Thanks to Vox, to Patriots, and to my great friend Santiago Abascal, who always received me, even though when everyone was turning their back on me. I am very proud to see what you've achieved with all your team. I am convinced that with you, Spain will have a prosperous future. Firstly, let me share my condolences to the martyr of freedom, Charlie Kirk. Charlie was brutally killed in cold blood by bigotry, someone from the Antifa terrorist group, while he had an open dialogue with students of the University of Utah. Unfortunately, this fact was just another example of what it is the true left: hatred and resent. They took away from us a great warrior on the battle of ideas. Funnily enough, this crime was celebrated by those who call us violent, and we just express the strength of our ideas. If there is something that Charlie highlighted was the way to confront with public dialogue the lies of the left-wingery. They killed someone who was peaceful. Only God knows what will be the soul of the bastard who pulled the trigger. I am convinced that this tragic killing will not be the reason to bend down in the cultural fight. As people in this cause of freedom of our nations, we are just mere instrument contributing to make it possible for each one of us. That they shoot down, there will be others. I had the honor to meet Charlie Kirk, an exceptional human being. From his youth, he worked to fight against the doctrine of the left in the academia. In 2012, he created Turning Point USA, which expanded in several university campuses, where he spoke about capitalism and the essential rights. But before it became massive, he went it alone, something that brings back to my beginnings in Argentina, where it was just a bunch of us defending the ideas of freedom in the media. Something that I am sure Santiago Abascal went through when he started this movement. Both to Kirk and anybody of us, the left-wingeries told us that we are extremists when we are this way, as we don't want criminals to take ownership of our streets. We don't want migration invasion. We don't want people to destroy our cities, and we will not accept that we are killed for saying what we think. The true problem lies in the left-wingery, in the attempt to collectivize our lives, and they want to tell us what to think. When they are up against someone saying no, encouraging others to do likewise, they do anything to shut them down. We see this in smear campaigns or by shooting people in the head, as they did with Charlie and Miguel Uribe in Colombia. They are always violent and full of hatred. But we should be fearless. As the Holy Book says, they will attack us to end us, to finish with us, with our women and children, to take ownership of our remains. In turn, we fight for our lives and our customs, and the heaven will crush them down in front of us. We are not afraid of them. All in all, if they attack us, it's because we are doing the right thing, and we are close to achieving our goals, socially, politically, culturally, economically. I invite you to stand your ground, to keep on pushing with Santiago Abascal and Vox, so that Spain can rise like Argentina is doing. And remember, the victory on the battlefield is not about the number of soldiers, but the strength and powers coming from above. Long live Argentina, long live Spain, long live Vox, long live patriots, long live freedom, damn it.
Gracias, querido Javier, por el esfuerzo de comunicar con nosotros.
Thank you, dear Javier, for making this effort of being live with us. We missed you here. We wanted to give you a hug, but we hope we can do that very soon in Argentina or in Spain. We want to send you all our strength, all our support in these moments where many are getting together to harm you. You have all our support.
Muchas gracias, querido Santiago.
Thank you very much, my dear Santiago. Thank you very much to every single one in that beautiful stadium. I want you to know that my heart lies with you and that today I cannot be there physically as I am in my country, standing for the achievements of our government, but without a trace of a doubt, when it is possible, we will meet again, be it in Spain, Argentina, or anywhere in the world, as the cause of freedom belongs to everyone, and the left and these killer terrorists will not do away with it. The ideas of freedom are correct and will prevail. Thank you, Abascal. Thanks to every one of you. Long live freedom, damn it! President of Patriots, President of Vox, and in the future President of Spain. With you all, and you with him, Santiago Abascal.
Queridos amigos,
dear friends, what a joy enjoying your company again and your support, and what a joy to listen to so many needed speeches. Dear Andrés Ventura, thank you for your courage, for your strength. Thank you, dear Tom, with your excellent Spanish. Thank you, my dear Aphrodite, for supporting us so intensively. Thank you, my dear Mayor of Lima, Rafael López Aliaga, the proud Porky. Thank you for being here and leading by example. Thank you to our friend Kinga Gal, always by our side. Thanks to everyone who is here in person, but also thanks to those who sent their messages from the distance, from the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. Thanks also to Javier Milei, President of Argentina, to Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation. Thank you to Herbert Kickel, First Party of Austria, soon to be Chancellor, President. Thanks to those who sent the video, but for technical reasons we cannot listen to them. We are sorry for that. Thank you to Matteo Salvini. Thank you to Matt and Mercy Schlapp, the organizers of CPAC, who couldn't make it here for logical reasons. Thank you to the President of Paraguay, Santiago Peña, whose video cannot be played either, but you will be able to watch online. Thank you to our dear friend Antonio Cast from Chile, and to the President Álvaro Uribe from Colombia. Thanks, of course, to this brave man, to the Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and of course, thanks to André Poabis, who was Prime Minister of the Czech Republic and is going to be President again soon. But above all, thank you our admiration goes to our hero, that is Maria Corina Machado, who stands firm in Venezuela and very soon will achieve something that they've been striving for a long time. Thanks to all of them, even though they couldn't be here on site, as they are in the middle of a very important electoral campaign. You have all our support, as your victories are our victories. And the bumps along the road are also ours. And that is not important, as we are on the right side of history. We heard important speeches this morning to understand why we are in the right side of history. We are aware that these are momentous times, and that is why I like to thank everyone who has contributed to Europa Viva 2025, especially the friends of Vox, the party members of Vox, who are here again at the Vista Alegre Palace. Thanks to the thousands who are with us on social media. Thanks from the bottom of our hearts. We wouldn't be able to continue with such a massive support. Thank you. Me too. We have many things to say together, many things to stand for. We have everything to defend, and we have everything to win, as all in all. There's a great deal to reconquer. The peoples of Europe and the Western peoples have been stripped away from their voices, of their will, and they have been robbed of their agency by prosecuting their political representatives. It's important that we don't neglect why we are here. We represent the voice of the gagged peoples of Europe, peoples who have been threatened. We don't have the silver bullet to solve all the issues in a single moment. We do not lie. We are not the representatives of public or private lobbies who need to change the side of the fence based on polls, as we are not corrupt and we are not cowards. None of that. We are here to be the voice of millions of Europeans and Spaniards who want to get back the right to decide over their own future. Millions of Europeans and a vast majority, I would dare to say, of Europeans, even though they still don't vote for us, that want to have safety again in the street, prosperity in the companies and homes, and quality in the public services, and something as basic as the freedom of women to walk in the street. That is what we are looking for. Millions, and so do millions of Europeans who want to get back their prosperity, their freedom, their borders, and the right to decide their future. But we know that it's not going to be easy, as we saw in the last few days, as the vast majority of popular and socialist parties work hand in hand against the interest of their people, even though they try to hide it. And that is why they want to limit the freedom of expression with attacks on social media, limiting alternative media outlets, and limiting anyone who tries to report on the corruption and the treason. But they are not just happy with bullying and prosecuting. We saw it in Romania, Austria, Germany, France, Portugal, Italy. Everywhere. There are allied against the winners of elections. We see this in Spain as well. They are willing to come to an agreement even with Satan if needed. They are willing to go to any length to stay in power and to prosecute the patriot leaders of any nations. They know no limits, and that is why Across the globe, we see the same formula to shut us down, from smears and slander to bullying and violence. We saw this week. We are still shocked at the killing of Charlie Kirk, a young patriot who would foster free debates in universities. Freedom of speech in the university? Is that not acceptable? Not even the university authorities or by the left-leaning globalism? That is why they killed him, as they spread hatred. I want to ask you to stand in prayer for him and for his family, and that we commit to keep on fighting today, as not even with all their hatred and power or all the lies will defeat the will of patriots. They will not stop us. They will not stop you. Nothing will stop us.
Yesterday, on TV outlets, and today in the editorial of any newspapers, they were pointing us out with their fingers. I have an editorial here from today's Vox is a national Catholic party with a racist, homophobous, negationist, basically a discourse slandering on violence. 6 years ago, we told you that their insults are medals like us. We're not scared of their lies. We are not stepping back. We didn't do it in the past. We won't do it now. Even though if they jail us, even if they kill us, whatever happens, nothing whatsoever will stop us. But our determination and our will to fight does not confuse us. Our decision to persevere and win doesn't mean that we're not being hurt. We must be realistic. We have to be prepared, because these elites that are rounded up are even more totalitarian and even more dangerous. Let's be realistic, because the killing of Charlie is not an isolated case. It's just the repeated evidence that the left is not renouncing to violence. Quite the opposite. It fosters it and uses it to get rid of their political rivals. They tried it with Trump, with Pico, with Bolsonaro, with Villavicencio and Uribe, and they've always done it in Spain. 4 killings, president killings in 1 century, against always in the hands of the criminal left. They did it in Spain with 1,000 people dead, killed by the ETA criminal and terrorist band that is also today in the hands of in the Spanish government. We know them very well. Some of you here know it personally, and I also know them very well. But the worst is not their bullets. The worst is the miserable cynicism that justifies their killings. The chorus of the left blaming the victims. And we've seen that in the TVs all over the world over these sad days. Also here, we know very well that they don't kill us because we're fascists. They call us fascists to kill us. That's quite different. That's how they work. I was reading recently the declarations of a politician with burqa from the Islamist left from Brussels, telling the inhabitants of a Molenbeek neighborhood in Brussels that those who don't want to see women with burqa, please leave the neighborhood, leave your own homeland. What they actually mean is that women that don't want to be under this veil, they have to leave their own country, their own neighborhood, and they are pointing out exactly what they want to do with women. And they are meaning that all of those that oppose to Islamism should leave our own homelands. And we are not going to leave from our neighborhoods, of our homelands. We're not going to accept them to proclaim the Brussels Caliphate, or they intend to insist on what we have been rejecting in our long history. We're not going to leave. They are going to leave. And they have to leave, all of them. All of them have to leave if they have come here to become criminals. Return ticket to the prisons in their countries. If they try to impose our religion over our laws, out. All abusing from their women, out. All that preach their holy war, out. All of them who want to jail the women after this hood or burqa, out. All of them, if want to mutilate little girls, out. All of them that came here to live on the effort of others, all of them out. And all of the minors, unaccompanied minors, unaccompanied foreign minors, out. And this is a price, because minors should be with their own parents and not in an institutional sort of hijack in Europe with the complexity of the authorities of their own countries. Complicity. And the first to celebrate together with us those expulsions, the first in Spain, and along with the rest of the Europeans, will be the legal immigrants, those who comply with the norms and those who respect the country that welcomes them, because there is no person with common sense, wherever they come, that opposes that criminals are expulsed, or lazy persons. So simple and so necessary that is. Because either they go or they will impose their Brussels Caliphate here, and they steal the future of our children, of the children of our children, and the grandchildren of our grandchildren. And Europe hasn't gone all this way so that the Islamist complicity of the left and the Popular Party is given to Bin Laden and all their inner circle. And we just don't care if those who are getting lots of money with slavery or whatever, they attack us and slander us. We don't care if those who have interest with all this human trafficking slander us. We don't care if they are multi-millionaire like Soros or any others that want to bring down prices, or if they are narco-traffickers. We don't give a damn about those discourses supported by Islamic nations, and we also by homilies of the Donopas bishop in Toledo, insulting the patriots, but doesn't remember many of Christians killed in Africa by the Islamists. The freedom of Europe cannot be for profane or to put them in a prison, or to mutilate them, or raping them in a park in the daylight, as it is happening in Europe. Religion freedom does not support Islamic fundamentalism, not whatsoever. Never will we accept the Brussels Caliphate. Never is never. But let's not make mistakes. We have to be realistic. They are at it. They're promoting the invasion and making money with it. Keeping an illegal immigrant or an accompanied foreign minor that came through these mafias is costing the Spaniards more than looking after our grandparents in a home. Who's taking that money? Which NGOs? Which people? Who are they exactly? Those who are making money and enriching themselves with the suffering, the insecurity and death. And we don't have women, grandparents or children coming from wars. Basically, we're talking about young men in a military or an army age, and it costs a lot of money to keep them here, even more than it would cost to maintain a Spanish soldier to defend our borders. It's not a basic security problem. The resources that are used are stolen from the Spaniards, that are stolen so that they cannot make ends meet. Because you know it very well, because you and your families find many difficulties to make ends meet after working so hard. These are resources stolen, above all, to the most marginalized people. Over the last 4 years in Spain, we've seen 2.5 million foreigners. Have we seen new homes being built? No, but we've seen laws to promote squatters. Have we built hospitals? No, but we've seen longer hospital lists, waiting lists. We've seen rapers in the streets coming from abroad as well. Have we reinforced public services? But we have seen more taxes to unbearable limits that we haven't seen before, because there are some that make money with this invasion. We will know who they are, and we will make them pay for that. Just shortly, we heard the news of a socialist councillor that was keeping in slavery some of these people. And one of them died. The mafias make money, bringing them, attracting them, and their business keeps getting more and more big. Thanks to this call effect, all like the open arms owners, they're multi-million, they present themselves as philanthropics, and they call us xenophobes. Yes, we have to put it, to sink it. No, we are serious about that. I am true about that. We have to take it and sink it. We don't care how they lie on TV telling us that we want to sink a boat full of people, of women and children. No, we just are very clear about that. We have to take it and sink it. But anyhow, we don't care. If they don't want to sink it, we can leave it in the coast. But basically, to take to their country back those who have to return to their own countries. Also, the state makes money. This extractive state governed by a mafia, also with the invasion, is making money. A state that can take more and more money from us, and then we have the wages being brought down. 2.5 million have arrived, but we have 2.5 million people unemployed in Spain, and 1 more million of people with temporary workers, and we have the firefighters that have to go and stop the fires. Basically, this Sanchez government is leading the migratory invasion. It's not sustainable. The youngsters should not accept that. We cannot allow that they ruin their future, even though before they become adults. Because they are not just stealing them the security, also prosperity, prospects of future. This week I was listening to the von der Leyen, the dark von der Leyen, the boss of Feijóo and Sánchez, that
this woman who looks darker and darker. I was listening to her regarding the speech on the State of the Union, talking about the war in Ukraine and Gaza. He is like Pedro Sánchez. She always has a war or a tragedy. If she doesn't have it, she caused it instead of facing with her own corruption. But we do not avoid debate. Regarding the war in Ukraine, you need to be very cheeky as a leader of the Popular Socialist Coalition to dare to talk about the war in Ukraine. You need to be very cheeky. They are the ones paying for the missiles to Russia. They are, with their green corruption, allowing Russia to invade Ukraine, turning us into dependent people on Russian gas. It is their leaders or their families who are making money from Russian gas companies. They are cheeky enough to take money away from Europeans to give it to Ukrainians to sink our energy production, so that Russia is increasingly important. Over all these years, they are like the bad guys in the films, causing wars, and then they make a back on both sides. And then also they instill fear in the population and they try to curtail our liberties. Also, she was talking about Gaza, this von der Dark women, talking about sanctions in Israel. Of course, the Brussels Caliphate feels very close to the Muslim brothers, those who never are going to be sanctioned by them. But let me know, it's crystal clear. To stop war, you just need to ensure that Hamas releases the hostages which are being tortured. That is the only thing you need to do. Why there is no international consensus claiming for something as basic, and why don't we see something as general, reporting the Christian genocide? It is about time that we defend Christians in Africa who are always suffering genocide of jihadists. No one remembers them. They are dying at the hands of jihadists, the allies of Hamas, the most satanic terrorists that are on the face of the land. On the other side, let me tell you, if that those who fantasize with claiming back Al-Andalus, assaulting our territories and killing thousands of nationals and hijacking thousands of them, I want you to know, as Spaniards, that I want Spain to never stop and to go to any length so that we can release any hostages. But today, I am afraid that would not be possible. I am not afraid. I am convinced it is not possible, as the president of the Spanish government is the best ally of Hamas in Europe. And that is terrible. And is the best ally of the cartel of the Soles, led by Nicolás Maduro, the tyrant, and Hamas, the satanic terrorist group. And then we are also bending in to the imposition of China. And this is not even policy, this is not even politics, it's a criminal plan, it's a treason that we as Spaniards are paying for, and that will bring about more pain, more ruins. But to this psychopath in power, well, he doesn't care about the consequences for Spaniards. To be honest, I think he hates the Spaniards. He cannot be out in the street. He cannot listen to the summer heat. He has nightmares when he flees from flood-affected areas. He has nightmares knowing that there are decent judges who are prosecuting him. Sorry, I cannot sing along, but I think the summer song was Pedro Sánchez, the pimp. The pimp with nightmares of decent judges. And that is why he's only moved by hatred against Spain and the possibility of being jailed. It's not much to ask that governments do not hate their people and they protect their people. That should be the main task of any leader, protecting security, freedom and prosperity of their people. But while we still have the alliance between the People's Party and the Socialist Party, we will have less and less security, less freedom and less prosperity. That is the result of their policies and the mafias, all of them. We have the mafia of migration, invasion, and also the weakness of Europe is due to the climate terrorism and the green corruption. Hundreds of thousands of millions of euros is the price to abide by the rules of the green agenda of those striving for caliphate that drives down competition, competitiveness, wages. And like with the invasion, they created this ideological and red tape labyrinth favoring just a few. That is bringing down our industry, our fields, our companies, our freedoms. As with the humanitarian excuse, the duties with the green agenda, they affect many other areas. They want to force us to share our car. What are they talking about? Is this North Korea or what? We need also to share our fridges with foreigners, as young people cannot access to their own houses. They cannot afford their own houses. Is this North Korea? Is this Venezuela? I haven't heard yet Feijóo, the People's Parties, talking about this. They will say they disagree, they will come with agreement with Pedro Sánchez, maybe they will share a car, maybe only on even days. And then they will accept the full totalitarian law as they did so far, with the tax imposition, with the language imposition in Spain, with the truce, with the independentists, with the Islamic invasionist, with the Agenda 2030, with the woke agenda. Then they cry, well, we will call them the coward right or the fickle. We are still too kind. I am thinking they've treasoned. They betrayed everything. There are no socialist policies they gave up or they reverted. There is not a single one. They had absolute majority and they didn't change a thing. Why? Because for many years they are the same thing and they act the same way. So, the sooner we accept that, the sooner Spain will have a new alternative. And soon, must be soon enough, as Europe cannot put up any longer with this coalition of People's Party and Socialists in the face of tragedy. There is an alternative, but they don't want it. At the People's Party, at the European Parliament, there is already a majority of conservatives, patriots, that they could join to leave the socialists in the opposition. They don't want it. The European people need to know, the Spanish people need to know. They've decided for that alliance with the socialists. Between them two, I understand that sometimes we can feel like giving up, but we need to forget about that. There's a great deal to be done in little time. We need to reconquer the lost spaces. We need to reconquer democracy and freedom of speech by protecting that, ensuring that elections are clean, ensuring that we ask people about policies, and we do away with the globalist censorship. We need to reconquer the institutions which are in the hands of mafias, coup plotters, and cheaters. And we need to give that to our people for the progress, for the future, for the sovereignty. We need to reconquer the prosperity by doing away with the tax impositions. We need to reconquer sovereignty so that we can say loud and clear that no one will take away from the nations of Europe the essential right to choose for our own future. The reconquest has started. They will not stop it. They will not poison our souls with lies or shooting those who shout freedom. Come on, Spaniards, Europeans, fearless to anyone, anything. Let's not stop until we reconquer everything. Long live the Europe of sovereign nations. Long live Spain.